This could mean he kills you. This could mean he escapes and injures or kills somebody else. So let's talk about your own personal safety. Let's talk about legal ramifications. Let's talk about financial ramifications. Let's talk about, the whole plethora of what's going on.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the I Didn't Read Your Book podcast. I am your host, Lutch, and today I've got a very special episode for you. Today we are going to be talking with Sean O'Shea about his book, Love Them by Leading Them.
I've had dog owners and dogs surprise me constantly in both directions. In the direction that I thought this owner was going to kick butt, and they absolutely crashed and burned. The dog was going to kick butt, and it crashed and burned. Or I thought this dog was going to be amazing and things were going to be fantastic, and right, or you know where I'm going.
Vice versa, yeah.
Yeah, vice versa. So there's so many variables involved that you can do all sorts of great work, but that great work doesn't ensure that things are going to turn out in the fashion that you assume they're going to turn out. I would say the dogs that I thought early on, my intuition said, this doesn't look good. This dog is struggling with processing, retaining, inhibiting behaviors, things like that. And then by being creative and sticking with it for a certain amount of time, all of a sudden we start to see a crack in that, a positive crack. And you're like, oh, okay, here's the doorway in. All the trainers that I work with, I try and instill that in them to keep that creativity, keep that optimism, along with a healthy balance of practicality, not pessimism, but practicality, that just because you want it and you're going to put the time in doesn't mean that dog's going to be okay. I would say the dogs that have taught me the most have been the ones that have surprised me in both directions. Owners that have surprised me in both directions. I mean, I've had a dog that was in my first book, Dozer, and he had put his mom in the hospital multiple times. Like, she's still got scars up and down her arms from him really, really, really nailing him. And he would corner the boyfriend and just bare teeth and just hold him in the corner for as long as he enjoyed. The dog was definitely happy to bite, but was also not a firm, what you would call a firm dog. If pressure was applied, he would say, ooh, I'm not so down with that. No one's ever actually applied any pressure. White flag, I'm pretty cool. Right. And so with this dog, we did put pressure on the dog. We did share consequences for trying to bite multiple people on our team. And then this owner showed up. She's like 5 foot tall. Dog's obviously 140 pounds, bite risk. She's scared of him, but she loves him to death. Bad combo. She was scared and struggling. And I was preparing myself to have a conversation the next day with her about, let's talk about reality. Let's talk about.
So sorry to interrupt your podcast experience. I just want to remind you, if you're enjoying what you're watching, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And if you really love it, there's some support links in the description. I would love if you can help out the channel. And back to the show.
Your safety. Let's talk about what this could ultimately mean, because this could ultimately mean not just putting you in the hospital. This could mean, like, let's talk about real stuff. This could mean he kills you. This could mean he escapes and injures or kills somebody else. So let's talk about your own personal safety. Let's talk about legal ramifications. Let's talk about financial ramifications. Let's talk about, the whole plethora of what goes along with that. So with dangerous dogs, severe dogs, I always have those conversations with clients. When she showed up the next day, and I've PM'd her and tried to get the lowdown on what changed with her, she showed up a different person. And I still to this day don't know what happened. And she showed up, and it's one of the reasons I like doing multiple sessions back to back, because I think for a lot of folks, when they feel they've got one session, they got one shot at it, they're experiencing dealing, especially if it's a dangerous dog or a dog that's bitten them, they're experiencing all that fear for the first time. And it's like, okay, he's listening, but is he going to snap at any moment? After they've had one session where the dog does well, they can digest that and come back the next day, I think, a bit refreshed and possibly in a different mindset. And she did. And she kicked butt, and she was like just on top of him for every little infraction. I gave her a ton of advice and a lot of suggestions about practicality and safety and how to move slow and what the true possibilities were with a dog of that size for her and anybody else. And sure enough, like 6-7 months later, she's out because she was a photographer. She's got a whole page of Instagram, like amazing photographs where this dog who had put her in the hospital is everywhere. I'm talking about he's in Vegas. He's in elevators, crowded elevators in Vegas, and just hanging out. He never had another bite. He never had another issue. He never went after her again. And, her response was like, when the consequences are appropriate for him, they absolutely change his behavior. And he challenged me a couple times as far as like not trying to bite, but challenged me as far as like, what do you got, Mom? And Mom said, this is what I got. And so anyways, that's a good example of a client really, really surprising me, and why I try and because I'll get tons of trainers who'll be like, oh, this owner, just they're such a wreck and they'll never be anything else. And I'm like, don't be so sure of that. Like, challenge yourself.